Hey Nerd Fam, and welcome back to fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here at CES 2026, kicking off the new year right. My name's Savannah Peterson, here bringing you all the exclusive stories with Rob Stretchate. Rob, I love doing CES with you. This is our third.
Yeah, our third. And this has
Yeah.
been fantastic. And I think the energy around this and how AI is really reshaping the experiences for organizations that they provide to their consumers has been really a lot of fun to go and dig into.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And I feel like we're at a real critical moment, great opportunity to have this conversation with our guests, where we're going from hype to actually putting the rubber to the road and saying what AI is going to do, not just what we hypothetically think it's going to do. Capiche and Whit, thank you so much for taking the time today. Busy week for you guys, I'm sure.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so I got really excited when I looked at our show notes for today because we are going to be talking about what I think is one of the most important things in the industry right now, and that is trust. Whit, talk to me about what it means to have trust in AI or trusted AI.
So thank you for that question, and I love that you're excited about trust.
I'm very excited.
We're not talking about it enough.
No.
I truly believe the way
No.
we're going to get to scale an AI, because you said it, Rob, we're walking around, we're seeing the coolest things. We're seeing the technology. The only way we're going to get to scale is through trust. And I think we started very early on talking about responsible AI, right? That was all the buzz. We need responsible AI. It became very compliance oriented, became a little political.
Yeah.
Trust is about, we need a whole ecosystem around AI to scale this. So that's why I think it's so exciting.
Yeah.
Is if we talk about trust and all the components of trust, companies can truly embrace and unleash the capability of AI. Without it, we're going to be caught in use cases and cool stuff, but not scale. So that's why I love having this conversation, and it's critical.
Yeah.
So taking that a little bit deeper, because I think there's the idea, and there's been a lot of hype around responsible AI as well. How do you see the difference between trust and responsible AI? Because they're not necessarily exactly the same thing.
Correct. I see responsible AI being a component of trusted AI. And I think of it, I'll use an analogy, like
okay.
with my children. I'll tell them to be responsible, lock the doors, be responsible. If I have trust in them, I know the doors are locked, I know the lights are turned off, I know things are taken care of. So responsible AI is important, 100%, you need to have it, but you need a broader trust framework to get to scale. Again, we're not going to scale AI, we're not going to scale the applications, the cool opportunities we have if we don't have trust. And we've talked about trust in so many different applications for years and years. We would talk about it, we need controls, we need this, we need that, and then we'd say, well, it's part of a broader trust framework. We're at a point now with this technology, if you don't have it, it's going to impact how you interact with your customers, it's going to impact your employee experience, it's going to impact how effective you are as a company. I truly believe as critical a juncture we're at for companies to get to the next level through AI, if they don't build trust in, as opposed to trying to bolt it on or checklist it will impede their ability to go get those benefits that we all know are out there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Capiche, bringing you in on this, I mean, you just mentioned the bolt-on aspect, and I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense. You can't just bolt it on. Kind of take that the next level down and help us understand what that means
Yeah, so it's
from
like,
EY.
to me, it's we can make it simple, right? Because to drive this forward, all the cool things we saw this week, you got to create customer confidence. They got to believe that this is in their best interest, regardless of what it is. And so to me, there's this concept of like what you must do, right? The mandatory things to really give people comfort in all the new products, services that you're offering. What you should do, which is an expectation of consumers, going one step beyond what you must do. And then what you could do, which is really going above and beyond. And so to me, this concept of bolt-on versus embedded, thinking about a new product. Today, responsible AI comes at the very end and says, do you have transparency? Do you have explainability? Do you have this? And it's really a compliance exercise in the last mile before something's released to production. When you think of embedding this within the blueprint, it's bringing the product owner, the cybersecurity team, the head of compliance, legal, customer experience, supply chain in the room together to say, how will we ensure that when we roll this out, the adoption will be high because we're truly giving people the confidence that they can trust it.
And with that confidence and building it in rather than bolting it on, you can unlock new value, correct? It's not just about scaling things or automating them. What are some of the business opportunities you see, Kapish, I'll start with you, that get unlocked when you do this right?
Yeah, so, we're here talking about trust. So I'll give you an example from a service that I work in almost daily, and that's working with procurement officers and vendors. And in third-party risk management, traditionally in the bolt-on model, you would do 1,000 assessments a year, 2,000 if you're a large company, 5,000 if you're a multinational global. And it'd be a very manual effort to look through your vendor master, look through your payments, and understand.
And a super exciting one
right.
too.
Who are you doing business with?
Yeah.
And what do they do? And it's honestly a very complicated matter because humans have limitations of how much they can perform and adapt and organize. Today with technology, the first 40 steps of that is complete. And the human starts at an area of adding value to the client because all that ruckus of day-to-day delivery and data processing is done for them. They're now starting in a place where they can truly talk to the client about next best action, what's best for their organization, having a robust conversation with their business partners about new business opportunities rather than the muck of the 40, 50, 80 hours they spend sort of just evaluating that vendor relationship, looking at data.
Yeah, they get to have more human interaction.
That's
is what
right.
I'm hearing.
That's right.
So let's talk about, sticking with humans, let's talk about trust in humans and agentic. How do we breed trust or foster trust when there isn't a human in the loop? I'll start with you on this one.
So I think there's always going to be a human in the loop. I don't think we're at a point where it's turnkey, let's turn it over.
Right.
Now, again, we're here talking about trust, and the more trust you have, to Kapish's point, the more confidence you have, the more you're going to lean on the automation. But I think as we look at real operating model changes, as we use this technology, whether it's within a function, within a process of an enterprise, when we really look at it, there's always humans in the loop. I actually think the human is still the secret sauce. You're going to really use AI and you're going to automate what can be automated, what should be automated. But when it comes to the human creativity, when it comes to the human judgment, we're not displacing that. You can't displace that. That is the secret sauce. So I think there's always humans in the loop. But I do think we're at a point now, you create the right trust around AI, you can get to a level of automation we've never seen. I like to kind of go back to the RPA days. And we're still using RPA, by the way. And the way we applied RPA, we looked at a process. You were talking about you did some process work in the oil and gas sector. And we would look at incremental steps within the process and how can we automate that step? How can we automate this step? Now we're at a point where we reimagine a process. Like what is the process meant to deliver? What's the output? How do we get there? What can we automate? We need trust to have the confidence we can rely on things, but you're always going to have those humans in the loop. I just don't see that changing. But what's really exciting, and I don't think anyone has this answer, because no one's done this at scale across the entire enterprise, what does that operating model look like? We know it involves agents, to your point.
Yeah.
We know it involves humans. So how is that interaction? I think that's kind of the cool frontier that's in front of us to define that. It's exciting we get to work with so many great companies on that problem. We're at early stages of really making this come to life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'll,
it's still
I'll-
very
I'll add
early.
to that.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
The improvements to the employee experience, right? Arming your employees with access to technology like this that allows them to truly turn on their creative side. It's a game changer. And so to me, to all the executives listening out there as they want to do this, the faster you put that trust not only to your consumers, but your employees, it'll drive that progress forward.
You just brought up a really good point, and I'm so glad you said that because AI is an emotional thing, whether that's within your organization. I mean, it's funny, right? We're talking about automation, but there's so many feelings about this, but they're all very valid. This isn't just an incremental change or iteration. We're talking about an entire innovation cycle around processes, around the way that we interact with both the physical and digital world. And I think that, so I would love to get your answer on this. How do you advise your customers and your community, you two, when they're debating internally whom to give the AI controls to within their organization, because I think it really has to transcend
Yep.
top to bottom, or else you don't get that trust in the organization. But you guys see even more than we do. So how do you do that?
Yeah.
Or how would you say that?
So, top-down leadership support will always be the fastest driver of change, right? Because it will send the message that this is important to all of us. But there's also the humility in reverse mentoring. And as executives in organizations, asking your employees for what they want and living a day in their shoes to understand how technology can improve or harm their day-to-day. And having the humility to say which side is actually occurring. And then using that to drive your decision making. To me, it's really important in the workforce of the future that we bring them into the conversation so that the messaging top-down is resonating. And when it meets in the middle, it's not a point of friction. I think in the areas where I've seen friends, clients, others have those points of friction, it's sort of been really too quick of mandates without doing the work to get the people to share their opinions and their voices of sort of what they want.
And hearing that,
That's right.
Yeah.
not just virtue signaling.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things, I mean, kind of playing off that a little bit, you mentioned earlier is getting there faster, right? And you have the EY.AI value blueprint as well. Is that how you help people go through this and understand where this trust comes in and how to address risk and things of that nature? Is that a big piece of this?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, so specifically from a trust perspective, the traditional model was really risk avoidance, right? So manage the risk, avoid
Totally.
it, and go around. Now it's about, capturing confidence. And so when you think of the value blueprint, to some of our earlier points on bringing in stakeholders from different parts of the organization, it's a mindset shift, which is trust is baked into design upfront on day one rather than day 30. When you get to day 30, you start thinking about trust, you've created process debt, you've created technical debt, you've created experience debt. I mean, it's just things that are very difficult to unwind. So when I look at our AI value blueprints specifically for trust, it forces the thinking, the design thinking, to start with trust in build, in customer experience, in supply chain, in operations, in legal, in compliance, in cyber, and so forth.
You mentioned design thinking, and trust is essentially the core of user-centered design.
That's right.
It has to be.
It absolutely has to be, or else you risk leaving people behind. This whole conversation is stoking something for me. It's actually my first CES 14 years ago. We had a team brainstorm at the design firm that I was working at because we were going to show a prototype here. And we
Okay.
wanted to show, there's a ton of MVPs.
Sure.
There'll never be anything, right?
Yeah.
Out there, no offense to all those creators, but we wanted to just do proof of concept. And the person who ended up having the best idea in our organization was the front desk admin. And we ended up making their product. And I remember looking in that room, I was a pretty young woman at that time, and I remember looking around the room and thinking it was so cool that all of these older, more experienced, venerable engineers and designers and everyone, none of that mattered in that room.
Yeah.
We were able to develop the product, had a really fun little show car. And I always think about that with these conversations around AI, and I love that we're talking about this, is if you're not bringing everybody in the room, they're not included. We're not
That's right.
democratizing anything
That's right.
if you're not included. So I'm curious, trust is something that can be very nuanced across verticals and geographies and around the world. EY, obviously, incredibly global company. Does trust mean the same thing around the world? Or is it different elsewhere? Whit, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there are nuances. There's absolutely
Yeah.
cultural nuances. But what's at the heart of it? And I think what's at the heart of your question, and frankly what I think we collectively have been missing, is that journey with let me just use an employee, the journey
Yeah.
with the employee. To Kapish's point earlier, we can push AI agendas top down, and you need top down support, full stop. But we see where that's gotten us. I said earlier, there hasn't been very broad enterprise-wide adoption and scale across the board. It's because I think we ran so quick to the tech and the cool things we could do.
We tend to do that as an industry.
100%, right? Instead of what is
Yeah.
the journey? How do we improve the employee, the customer experience? How do we build trust in so they know that these are tools and technologies and insights that can be relied upon, that are secure, that are governed? These are such important things, and we just didn't do that at first.
Yep.
We ran to use cases.
That's right.
We ran to doing cool things. Now, again, and I know I'm a broken record, but to get to scale, it has to be trust at its core, built in, not bolted on, enterprise-wide, and we need to start thinking about the journey for the
Yeah.
employee, not this is going to replace you, no, this is going to empower you.
Yeah.
And I think collectively that narrative was missed, and that's what's impacted the effect AI has had to date. There's been some, I think let me just say 2025 was about a lot of experimentation, some scaling. I also think some disappointment. I think 2026, as we focus on trust, we focus on the human experience, that's how we're really going to get to scale.
Yeah, I think that's been what we've been looking at, is that it has to be, because there needs to be success. But you guys see a lot of different things. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see companies making?
Yeah, so I'll give an example, and I'll talk about a mistake that I made as something.
I want to hear this one.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
You mean you're not flawless?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
mortal?
Can we get notes on this?
Yeah.
We fail every day, right? And we learn from loss. But I'll tell you, and I'll tell you the success side of it, which is when we first started rolling out our own AI product suite, it was everybody's got to use it because there were strong efficiency gains. The product did a much better quality of work because of human fatigue was not a limiter. And a lot of our internal push from me was around that, was like, hey, this helps us from a quality perspective, it helps us from an efficiency perspective. And you know, I sat with our younger professionals, I spent a lot of time with them, I understood what that actually meant to them, and that didn't mean anything to them. When I started talking to them, like, use our AI product suite as your next Excel or your next PowerPoint, where it's transforming the delivery of your day-to-day and not just this tool on the shelf that you must use. It changed the dynamic, because now when they have to come up with a really nice presentation that summarizes all their hard work, instead of opening a blank PowerPoint or Excel to start that documentation, they'll use AI to help augment their thoughts and help summarize all the good work they did do. And to me, when I started to see that movement, I was like, we're going in the right direction, because we're changing behavior, because we're answering them where they want to be met in the field day to day that transforms their work.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're being, to your point earlier, Whit, you're cognizant of the fact that the tech doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. The solution matters. The
Correct.
outcome matters.
The outcome matters.
It's not, and this happens a lot when we look at, and I'm sure you see this too, you know, broad organizational transformation. If you walk in and tell someone to start using a new tool, it's not going to go well.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to retool and learn a new skill set. Whereas if you illustrate what's possible and time saved or creativity unlocked and say, hey, it's actually really easy, you have access to this. Totally different mindset.
And Savannah, I see to that point where AI initiatives and those AI outcomes that companies are seeking, when it's driven, frankly, by the CEO or business unit president, it's not just a tech project or tech initiative, it's a strategic initiative, it's a business initiative, there's a lot more traction. And I know that's very intuitive, right? Top down, CEO sponsored, but it's absolutely critical. Also from a trust perspective, they need to be talking about, this is AI, this is going to take our business to the next level, our customer intimacy is going to be improved, our product capability is going to be improved, and we can trust the outcomes.
Yeah.
It's massive. That's how you start to move from use cases to enterprise scale and impact.
Yeah, and empower people to do stuff with their tools. I was in Hawaii a few months ago, and I was talking to the front desk manager, and he had created a custom GPT for his front desk so that they could communicate as colloquially with people of every different language versus their native language, which I thought was so brilliant. That's because obviously a super global guest, and he had just made it himself, and he you know, we ended up, naturally, I'm on vacation talking about tech and AI, but he like brings me around the desk and shows me how it all works, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is so cool.
Yeah.
If you put that frontline worker empowered with a tool, now their customer satisfaction goes up, and the employees feel awesome because they can still crack a joke in a different language or whatever that might be, you know, and be just as thoughtful. And it was one of those use cases where I just looked at it and I was like, that's empowering your employees. That's what it looks like.
I'll tell you something super cool I saw at one of my clients.
Yeah.
they do safety moments before meetings. So they'll talk about, hey, here are the exits. If
Yes.
their alarm
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
off, we're going to move out in an orderly fashion.
Been there,
And-
done that. A
Oh,
lot.
Yeah, right. And,
Oil and gas.
and that was a way to
Yes.
really improve
Yeah.
a culture of safety. You're like, oh, okay, we'll take a couple minutes, we'll have this conversation,
Yeah.
fine. I see one of my clients, they have AI moments now. And it's not the most senior
interesting.
person in the room that has to lead it.
Yeah.
They rotate who leads it. So to your point, Savannah, it can be the first or second year analyst
Yeah.
providing
Yeah.
a little, hey, here's how I'm using it. Here's how it's making my day
And it
better,
will be.
more efficient. It's super cool. It
Yeah.
gets it into the culture a little bit to say, this isn't this thing that's going to take all of our jobs, this big scary thing I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Let's share how it's making us all better.
Right.
It's a cool little thing to do.
And
Yeah.
better is the right word, because one of the conversations that frustrates me a little bit in our industry right now is everyone's always talking about productivity.
Yeah.
11% more productive. There is not a human on this planet that talks about their day like that in a normal context.
Yeah,
You would
right,
never come home,
right.
to your
Yeah,
kids
I
and
hit
say,
12%
Dad
today."
was 6% more
Yeah.
effective today,
Right.
guys.
Yeah.
Like we're going out for milkshakes.
That's right.
That's not it. It's not
right.
it. It's look at this cool thing I made today because I
Yeah.
had time to do it, or I had more focus, or I was able to research things quicker and come to this
Yeah.
deliverable.
That's right.
And it's a different mindset. So when people are like, yeah, implement this and you'll do that. I mean, people understand money, but the productivity side of it, I'm just like, good Lord.
So, you know-
People, yeah.
Our success in all of this will be quiet success, right? When you don't have to talk about it because you gained that extra hour
Yeah.
to go to your kid's event or do that one hobby you wanted or read that book that you wanted because technology augmented your day in a way that
Yeah.
gave you that creative freedom to go do what you wanted to. Those quiet successes, that's when we know we'll all have really won.
When we're not using the acronym anymore.
That's right.
Yeah. Less buzzwords.
That's right.
But what I love about what the stories you were just telling is the fact that it's transparency, and
Yeah.
it's that transparency that then helps to breed trust within these organizations. As you look out over the next 3 years, what do you think is going to separate trusted AI companies from non deep in trusted companies?
So I think the trusted AI companies will separate, meaning they will be in a class of their own. I think you'll see it manifest itself in a whole bunch of different metrics, from total shareholder return, revenue growth, margin growth. The companies that really get this right are going to have a value unleash very different than the ones that don't. Yesterday we were walking around the CES floor, and I hope this is a good analogy. Maybe it's not.
We'll be the judge.
They had good. So tell me. They had one of the robot dogs walking
Yeah.
around. One of our colleagues, she was terrified of the robot dog. So then the robot dog started walking towards her, and she took off running. Like, she was terrified. And for me, knowing we're going to have this conversation today, I'm like, this is like a good, physical manifestation of what we're saying. She was afraid of that robot dog. She did not trust the robot dog.
No.
She has dogs of her own that she trusts. If that company can get the trust of their customers, and someone's not afraid of the robot dog, they want the robot dog, they're going to separate. They're going to win.
No.
If they can't get the trust, there are going to be people that are terrified of the robot dogs. That's going to impact the.
It's a great analogy
Yeah.
because I actually have data that supports that. So I interviewed the CEO of Serve Robotics, the
Okay.
food delivery robots,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
little buggies.
Yep.
And Allie's a brilliant genius, my God. But if you've seen them, they have really big eyes. Like
Yeah.
it looks like cute.
Yeah.
Like the little
Sure.
bin looks cute.
Sure.
And there is so much research behind
Mm-hmm.
that design so that people will not vandalize the robots, not
Yeah,
mess with them in
right,
the streets,
right.
and not be afraid of them.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting, by anthropomorphizing them, wow, did I get that word out? They've actually created this culture of trust and obsession to
Yeah.
the point where now people want swag that has the robots on
Yeah.
them. They want little Lego sets
you
that
go.
are the Serve robots, and it's very neat because when you talk to him, is so much a part of that design process
Yes.
was making them not afraid of the robot dog, because if the perception's bad, this doesn't scale.
That's right.
But as soon as people saw that they were friendly and fun and did this
Yeah.
little thing, and people take selfies with them and stuff, total flip around
So they
where people
built it
aren't
in.
looking at that thinking, oh wow, that's an artificially intelligent robot.
Right.
They're looking at it thinking, what a cute little thing that just brought my burrito.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Totally different mindset. And,
Right.
and you're absolutely spot on in terms of that will be the separation.
Correct.
Because then nobody's going to want to order from the not as cute robot.
That's right.
You're always, or the not safe dog, whatever that might be. So yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on.
And,
Yep.
and Savannah, if you pull that thread, you start to think about the talent.
Yeah.
Talent. Great people are going to want to go work for those companies that also have it built in, that have that
100%.
brand.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
so it again, trust can sometimes feel like
great
we're having
point.
a risk discussion. We have a department, we have a function in our company that handles this for us. We have to break that barrier down.
That's
right.
We have to fundamentally say, this is built in, this is core, this is how we're going to get the best people. This is how we're going to give our customers the best experience. This is how we're going to unleash value for our shareholders. And if you don't have that trust, you
right.
won't scale.
That's right. It's trust in every aspect of the value chain, right? From
Yeah.
customer experience to your employee experience and everything in between.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All right. Last question for you, gentlemen, because this has been awesome. Whit, you mentioned you have kiddos.
Yes.
What do you hope that this technological revolution does for your kids?
I hope that it inspires them to do more than they're able to do today. So I'll use my daughter as an example. She's a graphic designer. I'm very, very biased. She's incredibly talented. What she can do with this technology, it's not going to replace or displace her creativity, but I think it'll allow her to do a lot more. She works for a great organization. They allow her to freelance on the side. She'll be able to do more of that. So I think
That's a
like what it
great
can do
point.
for her and her family, I'm super excited about. But it's really going to empower her.
Yeah.
And I have two sons as well. I think the same for them. But I love when I talked about earlier that that AI moment and when the company, the client that has it before a meeting. I think we need to talk about it more. Like I talk to my children a lot about, this isn't something you should be ashamed of using.
Right.
In a work context, it can be like, are you using it or are you not using it? Like, use it. Be very transparent. Make sure you're using it the right way, the proper way. But I think it's going to be a great enabler and something that's going to empower them to do more than they can do today. Like we joked a little bit earlier, we all grew up in the business world,
Yeah.
PowerPoint and Excel.
Yep.
We can go beyond that. We're still using PowerPoint and Excel, but we can go beyond that. I think that's really, really exciting. And young people, day one, what they can contribute to an organization. I used to joke, but it's kind of not a joke. When I first started in the professional world, my value was how good was I at taking the order for dinner if we were working late? How good was I at getting the coffee order right in the morning? And how many pages could I get through the fax machine?
Yeah.
That was what I was contributing. Today, you look at what young people with the technology and the fact that they are AI native and they're digital natives, what they can bring day one is super, super cool. So I'm happy for my kids that they're going to have that opportunity to contribute in their professional lives so much more than I could day one.
Yeah, and their framework and their thinking isn't limited by what was done before like ours is.
Correct.
It's harder to unlock and re-break down those walls
Yeah.
than it is to just start and be like, there was a wall here before?
Right.
Who knew?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capiche, what about you? What do you hope AI does for your family?
I think there's an implicit expectation in everyone in the future, especially our younger people, that you start your thoughts, your thinking augmented better, right? And it gives you that freedom, those quiet moments to do more. And so to me, my hope is for my children that this allows them to unlock a creative side
Yeah.
in a different way than we had a chance to,
Yeah.
and that it just does something slightly different for them than it did for us, right? And I think they'll all take that in their own way and make it their own thing. But then when I bring that back to the business world, and you actually like correlate it to day to day, I think it's an implicit expectation, and
Yeah.
it's up to us to put that out there for them.
Yeah. I love it. Gentlemen, this has been a fantastic way to start
Thank
the
you.
day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. And thank all of you for tuning in to our exclusive coverage here at CES 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.